It's an ET, when I saw this news cross, I was sitting on the bus next to a prominent journalist, which we discussed earlier, and I said, the Winklevoss, Bitcoin. He said, a match made in hell. Yeah, so Bitcoin, it is interesting. They've been investors in Bitcoin for a long time. They're trying to start an ETF, an exchange-traded fund. So they want to raise money. They want to sell these shares to the public, $20 million worth, and then use the proceeds to acquire. Hey, there's Brad Stone in the middle of it. Is he the third Winklevoss?
I don't know.
He might be. Bloomberg's own Brad Stone walking down the middle of those two guys. So what they want to do is they want to establish an ETF, take $20 million in proceeds, and go out and buy Bitcoin, and then let the value of the ETF trade with the value of Bitcoin. So you could actually sort of get a regular quote, and regular investors could get involved in Bitcoin. But the proceeds of the Bitcoins will be taxed unlike regular Bitcoins, and indeed this may have an effect on this small marketplace of Bitcoin.
What about the regulatory issues?
Well, what's interesting about this, you learn a lot about Bitcoins by reading this prospectus and reading the risk factors. And one kind of jumped out at me in particular in reading those risk factors. Let me read this to you. And this comes directly from the SEC filing. It says, quote, a significant portion of Bitcoin demand is generated by speculators and investors seeking to profit from these short and long-term holdings of Bitcoins. The relative lack of acceptance of Bitcoins in the retail and commercial marketplace limits the ability of end users to pay for goods and services. In other words, this is a speculative tool, Bitcoins. It is not a tool being used in commerce generally. And so the concerns about Bitcoins are all right there. Is this just something like so many investments that people are just trying to sell to a greater fool? Or is it something that's actually going into service and being used as a currency? That is the inherent question about Bitcoin. That is the inherent issue here. With this ETF, it becomes purely a speculative vehicle.
So is Bitcoin going more mainstream? It sort of sounds like it.
With every day, with every new investor, yes. But if the investors bail from this thing and the volatility of Bitcoin prices, what we've seen, then it will turn around and go the other way, and so will this ETF real fast. It'll be also interesting to see what the SEC does with this filing and with this launch of this proposed launch of an ETF, Winklevoss or not.
And of course, anything the Winklevoss twins do gets attention and
it's
some skepticism.
They put their name on this too, which they weren't hiding. This is the Winklevoss Bitcoin Trust. It's not just the Bitcoin Trust.
Right.